There are people who pray every day, cry every night, and fast for many weeks. Yet they still feel like nothing is changing. They begin to wonder why God is silent, why the doors are still closed, and why their prayers don't produce answers. But there is a mystery in the spiritual realm that cannot be ignored. Heaven does not only respond to prayer, heaven responds to action driven by faith. Faith is not only a belief, it's a movement. It's an act that proves you trust what you pray for. That is why when you simply sit in one place and say, maybe God will do something someday, nothing happens. But the moment you rise and say, I will move in faith even before the miracle comes, heaven takes notice of you. This simple act of writing your name on salt may look small, but in the unseen realm, it becomes a signal, a light, a message, a declaration that you are ready for change. You are telling God, I am not waiting for a sign before believing. I am acting because I already believe. This changes everything. Faith that moves is faith that proves itself. When you take simple salt in your hand and write your name with your finger, you might think nothing spiritual is happening, but in that moment, you are imitating what great men and women of God did throughout history. They obeyed small instructions and received big miracles. Think of Moses. When Israel was trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army, he did not sit and say, Lord, rescue us. Instead, God told him to raise his rod toward the sea. That rod was just a piece of wood, nothing powerful about it. But obedience injected it with heavenly authority. The sea did not part because of wood. It parted because of faith expressed through a simple act. Think of the widow in the Bible who had nothing but a jar of oil. The prophet told her to pour it into empty vessels. The oil itself was tiny, but her faith was huge. It was not the oil that multiplied. It was obedience that activated heaven. In the same way, salt is not a magical item, but your faithful act of writing your name on it is a prophetic declaration. You are not asking the salt to do something. You are asking God to see your step of faith and remember your name in this season. You are showing that you are not passive. You are not just wishing. You are moving toward your miracle. And when heaven sees this kind of movement, it responds. Sometimes God waits for one little step from you before He moves mountains for you. It is like a divine law. When faith takes a step, miracles take flight. Many people think that only loud prayers or dramatic worship get God's attention, but that is not always the case. There are prayers that God hears not because they are loud, but because they are backed with action. Faith does not always shout. Sometimes faith whispers. Sometimes faith doesn't even speak. It simply moves. For example, the woman with the issue of blood did not ask Jesus for help. She did not cry out or make noise. She simply reached out her hand and touched His garment. It was one act, but it was enough for her entire destiny to be rewritten. Her healing did not start with words. It started with a step. When you write your name on salt, your heart must say this: Lord, this is my step. This is my action. I am moving toward my miracle. That very act separates you from those who talk about faith and those who walk in faith. The difference between delay and deliverance can sometimes be one step of obedience. Faith has a language, and heaven understands it. God does not look at your talent, your strength, or your background. He looks for movement. That is why Scripture says that faith without works is dead. A prayer without action is like a fire without heat. It has no effect. But you may ask, what if I do this and nothing changes? If that question enters your heart, it means doubt is still fighting you. When you act in faith, your heart must already believe change has begun, even if your eyes see nothing. The truth is, miracles rarely come immediately. God works behind the scenes, slowly aligning situations you don't even know about. But when you act in faith, that process begins. The ground may not shake. The walls may not fall at once. The wind may not blow. But something begins in the unseen realm. God begins arranging people, opportunities, resources, and favor to locate your life. That is why faith must be patient. The seed sprouts underground before it ever shows above the surface. Just because nothing is visible does not mean nothing is happening. Therefore, when you act with faith, even in something as simple as writing your name on salt, know this: God has begun something already. Even if you feel nothing, even if nothing changes today, something has already started moving in your favor. Every step of faith is like knocking on the door of heaven. The first knock may not open it, but repeated faith brings breakthrough. Faith does not count how many times it tries. Faith keeps trying until the doors open. There are people who will laugh at these actions. They will mock simple prophetic instructions. They will say, "This is foolish. It makes no sense." Yes, it makes no sense to the natural mind. But the natural mind has never opened the supernatural realm. The greatest miracles in Scripture were born from the simplest instructions. That is why the purest faith is childlike faith. It does not overthink, overanalyze, or debate. It simply acts. Your miracle is not in understanding everything. It is in trusting God completely. So today, remember this principle: faith that acts attracts answers. Don't wait for a sign before moving. Move, and God will send a sign. Do not wait for inspiration before working. Work, and inspiration will follow. Faith is not a reaction to breakthrough. Faith is the preparation for breakthrough. When you take salt in your hand, write your name, and dedicate your life to God, with that act, heaven takes note. Your faith speaks louder than your words. You have moved, and now heaven will move for you. Salt may seem like just another kitchen ingredient, something common and ordinary, but in the spiritual realm, it carries powerful meaning. Long before people understood science and medicine, they still understood that without salt, food spoils and life weakens. Salt protects, salt heals, salt preserves, and salt keeps what is valuable from decay. That is why salt is not only a physical substance, it is a symbol of divine preservation. In ancient times, when people made important agreements, they did not sign paper. They used salt. They believed that salt does not rot, and therefore, their covenant would never die. So when salt appears in prayer, scripture, or spiritual acts, it does not represent magic. It represents a covenant with heaven. It represents purity, protection, loyalty, and purpose that cannot be erased. In the Bible, when God made a special covenant with His people, He called it a covenant of salt. That means, I will not forget you. I will not allow your destiny to decay. What I have spoken over your life will be preserved. This is why salt is not just something to cook with. It is something that spiritually reminds us that God's promises still stand. You may feel attacked, forgotten, delayed, or surrounded. But the covenant of God is like salt. It never loses power, and it never loses taste. It stands firm even when everything else changes. That is why in this speech we use salt, not as a superstition, not as a ritual, but as a divine symbol of preservation and covenant. When you take a small amount of salt in your palm and write your name with your finger, something sacred happens in the invisible realm. You are reminding yourself and declaring before heaven that you are covered by a divine covenant. You are saying, my life will not decay. My purpose will not be stolen. My identity will not be erased. I am preserved by God, just as salt preserves food. This simple act becomes a powerful proclamation that your destiny is under the protection of the one who never forgets. Salt also symbolizes purity. When mixed with water, it cleanses wounds and prevents infection. That is what God does spiritually. He cleanses areas of your life that are damaged, hurting, or exposed to spiritual infection. Maybe you have been wounded emotionally, betrayed by those you trusted, or trapped in fear. When salt is used in prayer, it reminds you that healing is possible, that God does not allow your internal pain to destroy your external destiny. Just as salt cleanses, God purifies. Just as salt preserves, God protects. And just as salt seals covenants, God seals your future with His divine signature. There are spiritual attacks that try to rot your confidence. There are negative voices that try to decay your dreams. There are people who try to spoil your faith. But when you hold salt, you are symbolically declaring that no decay will touch what God has prepared for you. Every covenant God made with you will be preserved. Every promise will be kept. Every word spoken over your life will live and not die. Your destiny is salt protected. No darkness can rot it. Why did Jesus say, "You are the salt of the earth"? Because He wanted to remind us that we are not called to live weak, fearful, or silent. We are supposed to release the flavor of hope wherever we go. When salt enters food, everything changes. The taste changes. The smell changes. The atmosphere of the meal changes. Likewise, when a person full of faith enters a place, despair must leave. Fear must bow. Anxiety must decrease. Salt silently transforms everything around it, and true believers should do the same. You don't need to be loud to bring change. You just need to carry the nature of salt, preserving purpose, purifying hearts, and bringing divine flavor to every situation. So when you write your name on salt, do not do it casually. Do it knowing that salt is more than just a substance. It is a language of heaven. When your finger gently writes your name across the salt, imagine heaven watching. Imagine angels listening. Imagine God saying, "My child, your name is not forgotten. I will preserve you." This is more than a symbolic act. It is a declaration of covenant alignment. You are aligning your life with God's preserving power. But let this also be a reminder, salt only works when it is applied. Salt preserved food only when it touched it. Salt healed wounds only when it was applied to them. Likewise, God's promises work only when you apply them to your life through faith. Knowing the promises is not enough. Hearing the promises is not enough. You must act upon them. That is why this act of writing your name on salt is a step of faith. It is the application of divine covenant. You are not waiting for preservation. You are stepping into it. There are seasons in life when everything around you feels unstable. Relationships change, finances change, plans change, emotions change. But God's covenant does not change. That is why salt is so powerful. Empires fell, nations changed, generations passed, but salt never lost its nature. God uses salt to remind us, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. My covenant is still active. My protection is still alive. My purpose for you will not decay. So the next time fear tries to enter your mind, remember salt. When worry tries to corrupt your peace, remember salt. When doubt tries to spoil your hope, remember salt. When you feel your destiny is slipping away, sit alone, take salt, write your name, and declare, I am preserved. I am protected. I am in covenant with God. My future will not decay. Pray not with panic, but with confidence. Pray not like a beggar, but like one who is protected under an eternal promise. And after you write your name and speak your declaration, do not live the same way. Live like someone under covenant. Act like someone who is preserved. Walk like someone whose purpose cannot die. Talk like someone who carries divine salt in their spirit. For when you carry the covenant of salt in your heart, your life will never taste the same again. There are moments when people pray but feel unseen, moments when they call on God, yet the answer feels delayed, and their spirit whispers, does heaven even know my name anymore? But there is a mystery in the spiritual realms. When faith becomes personal, heaven becomes attentive. When faith carries your name, God begins to respond with divine attention. That is why the act of writing your name on salt is not a ritual. It is a spiritual awakening. It is your declaration that I am not just another face in the crowd. I am known in heaven. My name matters. My destiny is important. When you write your name with your finger on salt, you are doing something powerful. You are engraving your identity before God, not for Him to remember, but for you to remember that He already knows you. This act awakens spiritual awareness. It is like saying, Lord, I belong to you. My name may be ignored by people, but it is written in your presence. In that moment, your prayer is no longer general. It becomes personal. And God responds to personal faith in extraordinary ways. Think of blind Bartimaeus. He was sitting by the roadside when Jesus passed by. Many people shouted that day, but Bartimaeus did something different. He called him by personal title. Son of David, have mercy on me. That me changed everything. He was not praying a generic prayer. He called for personal attention. And heaven stopped for him. Jesus turned and asked, what do you want me to do for you? That is what happens when your prayer carries identity. Heaven pauses to respond. When you write your name on salt, you are spiritually saying, Lord, I am here. I am calling for your attention. I am asking not just for blessings, but for relationship. Not just for change, but for remembrance. That is why solutions begin to unfold after this act. When your faith declares your name, your case gets opened in the courts of heaven. Your tears are recorded. Your battles are reviewed. You are no longer one among millions. You become a registered identity. Your name is not ordinary. Your name carries assignment. Every name holds a prophetic meaning in God's eyes. Saul became Paul. Abram became Abraham. Jacob became Israel. Each name change marked a turning point in destiny. God knows us by name before He calls us into destiny. That is why when Moses was afraid at the burning bush, God said, Moses, Moses. When Samuel was a child and he heard a voice, it called him by name. Your name is not letters, it is a divine signal. When faith uses your name, your destiny becomes activated. In the spiritual realm, names carry authority. When you write your name on salt, angels see that identity and recognize a covenant. They move according to your faith declaration. Heaven does not respond to confusion. Heaven responds to clarity. Your name is clarity. It defines who you are, what you carry, and where you belong. When fear tries to attack you, it looks for identity weakness. When demons try to influence people, they target those with weak identities. But a person who says, "I know who I am before God," becomes untouchable. That is why this simple act of writing your name in salt is not about the salt. It is about the authority of your identity. You are saying, "I know who I am. I belong to heaven, and heaven belongs to me." In that moment, spiritual confidence rises. Anxiety loses strength. Confusion loses power. Fear loses control. Why? Because fear whispers, "You are forgotten." But faith responds, "God knows my name." And when God knows your name, no enemy can erase it. Think of the thief on the cross. He did not pray a long prayer. He did not repeat religious words. He just said, "Remember me." And Jesus replied, "Today, you will be with me." This shows that when your spirit calls for personal attention, God does not delay. Your identity attracts His mercy. This is why, after writing your name on salt, you must speak life. Don't just write. Declare. Say, "My name is written before God. My life will align with His purpose. My identity is blessed. My future is preserved." As you do this, you are not only praying, you are legislating. You are making a spiritual decree. You are activating heaven's attention toward your identity. Many people pray for miracles, but they forget that miracles follow identity. When a person knows who they are in God, miracles chase them. They don't chase miracles. But why does writing the name in salt specifically matter? Because salt represents permanence. It represents covenant. Unlike water, salt stays. Unlike smoke, salt does not vanish. It remains. So when you write your name in salt, you are symbolically declaring, "My identity will not fade. My purpose will not disappear. My destiny will not be lost." It is your way of saying, "I am preserved, not by power, not by luck, not by people, but by God." Do not be silent after this act. Walk with confidence. Let your faith speak even when your mouth is quiet. Let your identity shine even when your situation is dark. Every time doubt tries to return, remember the moment your finger touched the salt. Remember, you already made a divine declaration. You already stated your ownership. You already declared your belonging. That moment was not small. That moment mattered. There are times when earth forgets your name, but heaven never does. People may step over you. Society may ignore you. Friends may abandon you. But the moment you declare your identity before God, you are known in the highest courts. You are seen in the holiest place. Your name is no longer earthly. It is stamped with divine recognition. So lift your head. You do not pray as a stranger. You do not live as an orphan. You do not walk as someone forgotten. You carry identity. You carry divine ownership. Your faith has a name, and that name is yours. There is a mystery in the spiritual realm. Not every miracle begins in noise. Many of them are born in silence. We often think that we must shout, cry, or pray loudly for heaven to move. But some of the greatest breakthroughs recorded in history began in quiet, hidden places. When God wants to shape a destiny, sometimes He leads a person into silence, away from attention, away from people, away from distractions. It is in quiet places that faith becomes sharp. It is in hidden moments that miracles begin to breathe. When you sit alone with salt in your hand, you are stepping into this divine mystery. You are separating yourself from the noise of the world and entering a sacred space, a personal altar, not made of stone, not made of wood, but made of stillness. In that moment, your heart becomes the temple and your faith becomes the offering. The invisible realm becomes active because silence is not empty. It is pregnant with spiritual ability. When faith is practiced in quiet obedience, heaven listens more closely than when thousands shout without sincerity. In the scriptures, many of the greatest encounters with God began in silence. Moses met God not in a crowd, but alone at a burning bush. Elijah heard God not in the earthquake or the heavy wind, but in a gentle whisper. Jacob wrestled with God when everyone else was asleep. Samuel heard God calling his name when the lamp of the temple was nearly burned out. Each of these moments share a pattern. Before God reveals destiny, He first removes noise. Noise distracts the mind. Silence awakens the heart. Miracles do not come to the crowded soul. They come to the surrendered one. When you take salt in your palm, write your name, and speak softly, you are demonstrating a different kind of faith. Not a faith that performs for people, but a faith that whispers to God. A faith that does not seek reaction from the world, but response from heaven. Many pray loudly so that others may believe they are spiritual. But what matters is not volume. What matters is sincerity. In the quiet moment of writing your name, you communicate this to God. I am not here to impress you. I am here to surrender to you. And that is when heaven responds, because quiet obedience carries a fragrance powerful enough to reach the throne of God. The world today is full of voices, notifications, opinions, arguments, distractions. People fear silence because they do not know what to do when everything becomes still. But silence is where God restores perspective. When noise stops, truth begins. When distractions fade, direction appears. So when you approach this prophetic act of writing your name on salt, do not rush. Do not let your mind run everywhere. Let your heart be still. Let your spirit settle. Slow your breathing. Close your eyes. Treat that moment like a divine appointment. Because in that silence, your spirit will speak truths your mouth has not yet said. In quiet moments of faith, miracles take root. A seed does not grow under a spotlight. It grows underground in darkness, in silence. When a mother carries a child, the formation happens quietly. When a butterfly transforms in a cocoon, it happens in hiddenness. Likewise, when God begins to prepare your miracle, it often begins where no eyes are watching. This is why Jesus told people who received miracles, tell no one. He understood that spiritual power grows best in places where noise cannot interfere. What happens in secret, God rewards openly. So when you write your name on salt, do it not with performance, but with intimacy. Heaven is not impressed by show. Heaven responds to surrender. If you want to see real change, take your faith into the secret place. Let your prayer be whispered. Let your tears be silent. Let your heart speak without words. For silence becomes the canvas upon which God paints His answers. It is the chamber where revelation grows. And once revelation grows, breakthrough becomes unstoppable. But this silence requires discipline. It requires humility. It requires the decision to step away from people's eyes and come under God's gaze alone. Many want miracles, but few want solitude. Many want revelation, but few want to sit in stillness. Yet the power of God often hides behind the veil of quietness. And when you enter that space with faith, even a small prophetic act like writing your name on salt becomes a divine invitation. It tells heaven, I am available, I am listening, I am ready. After you perform this act, don't immediately return to noise. Stay quiet for a moment. Let your spirit absorb what you've just declared. Let your mind recognize that something spiritual has just been activated. You may not see anything change, but your spirit will begin to sense a new awareness. Your heart will feel lighter. Your atmosphere will change, because silent obedience opens doors that loud distractions keep closed. So what should you do after writing your name? Live differently. Expect differently. Pray differently. Walk with the confidence that your case has been taken to the highest court of heaven, and God Himself knows your petition. Live with the posture of someone who carries a secret encounter. Do not seek validation from others. Do not explain your faith to those who mock it. Remain calm, remain focused, because what you have done in secret will one day produce fruit in public. Understand this: miracles are not accidents, they are responses. They are heaven's reactions to earth's faith. They begin in hidden places before they appear in visible places. Your job is not to make the answer come. Your job is to keep the altar alive. Your job is to protect the silent moment with God and refuse to let the noise of life break the spiritual concentration you have built. When you do that, your life becomes a magnet for divine intervention. Your atmosphere becomes supernaturally charged. Your name becomes associated with favor. And wherever you go, something different begins to surround you. That is the power of silent obedience. It is not weak. It is not passive. It is not empty. It is the incubator of transformation. Those who master it never stay the same. So when you write your name on salt and speak your prayer in quiet sincerity, know that you have just opened a door few people understand. And those who enter this door do not leave the same way they came in. There comes a time in every believer's life when the battle becomes invisible. Nothing seems wrong physically, yet something feels stuck deep inside. Opportunities were closed but slipped away. Plans were perfect but didn't manifest. People promised but disappeared. It is in these moments that the heart becomes heavy without having a clear reason. And suddenly we realize the greatest battles are not outside us, they are within us. The salt we hold in our hand is not just salt. It becomes a symbol of purification. When you write your name on it and pray, you are not just calling God to bless you. You are asking Him to cleanse everything inside you that quietly blocks the blessings from flowing. There are times when we pray many prayers, sow seeds, and even fast, yet nothing changes. And we ask, why? It is because sometimes God does not answer by changing circumstances outside. He answers by cleansing something inside. That is where the miracle begins. When you write your name on salt and kneel before God, you are telling Him, before you open the heavens, open my heart. Before you send miracles, remove pride, fear, anxiety, jealousy, hidden grudges, and secret doubts. You become like clay in the hands of the potter. And when clay is soft, the potter can shape it into anything beautiful. But if the clay remains hard, even the potter steps back. That is why this simple prophetic act becomes powerful. It softens your spirit. People may say, it's just salt. How can this change anything? But remember, faith is not about the object. It is about the surrender behind the object. Moses held only a staff in his hand, but it parted the Red Sea. David held only a sling, but it defeated a giant. Elijah poured only water, but fire fell from heaven. The boy gave only 5 loaves and 2 fish, but thousands were fed. So it is not the object. It is the obedience that moves God. When you take salt and write your name on it, you are not using magic. You are using faith with intention. You are saying, Lord, I am ready. Make me pure. If anything in me is blocking your voice, wash it away. I once knew a man who prayed for prosperity for years. He was hardworking and committed, yet nothing happened. One night during prayer, he heard a soft voice in his spirit saying, "You are asking me to open doors, but your heart is still holding anger against someone. How can new doors open while old chains still exist?" He wept bitterly. For the first time, he didn't pray for money, success, or promotion. He prayed only one prayer: Lord, clean my heart. The next morning he took salt, wrote his name on it, and prayed a deep prayer of surrender. He let go of every hidden bitterness. He threw the salt outside his house as a prophetic sign that the old season had ended. Within 2 months, 3 new opportunities came. His life changed completely because his heart was now aligned with God's plan. And when alignment happens, acceleration follows. There are 2 kinds of cleansing: the cleansing of the hands and the cleansing of the heart. Many believers wash their hands. They live clean. They appear righteous. They speak faith. But deep inside their heart, small stains remain: insecurities, silent jealousy, fear of failure, hunger for validation, anger that never heals. And God whispers, "Give me your heart, not just your hands." Salt represents the deeper cleansing. It dissolves completely. It disappears. And that is what true surrender is: letting your ego dissolve, letting your pain dissolve, letting the false identity dissolve. When you write your name on salt and pray, it is like placing your identity in God's hand and saying, "If anything in me does not reflect your light, remove it." It is impossible to walk in destiny with a heavy heart. Blessings need space to enter. If that space is filled with worry, fear, and people's opinions, then blessings will stand at the door but never enter. That is why Jesus often sent people outside before performing a miracle. The atmosphere must be clear. The heart must be ready. The spirit must be open. When you write your name on salt, you are commanding your inner atmosphere to become clean. You are telling every silent fear, your time is over. You are telling every negative memory, your place is no longer in my heart. You are telling every limiting belief, I am chosen, I am called, I am loved, I am favored. And heaven responds to that bold declaration. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not the money God sends, the healing He brings, or the doors He opens. Sometimes the greatest miracle is when God transforms your heart so deeply that the world cannot break you anymore. You may still face storms, but peace will sit on your shoulders. You may still walk through fire, but faith will hold your hands. You may still walk through the valley, but your heart will whisper, I am not alone. And that is when miracles start to follow you, not because everything is perfect, but because your heart has become the home of His presence. So when you take salt tonight, hold it gently, write your name slowly, and pray these words, Lord, purify me, Cleanse my thoughts. Melt every fear. Break every emotional chain. If anything in me is blocking your favor, remove it. If my plans are louder than your voice, silence them. If my pride stands before my purpose, take it away. Make me pure. Make me yours. Let my life reflect your power. And when you have prayed this, throw the salt outside your house and walk back inside, not as the same person, but as someone whose heart has been washed by the hand of God. And when the heart becomes clean, miracles do not need to be searched for. They begin to follow you quietly, powerfully, and continuously.